Yes, thank you for introducing me. Uh, it is my great pleasure to give a talk about the migration policies of South Korea. Actually, I was offered to give a talk in Korean, but after that, the language changed into the English. Even though I graduated from the Cambridge University, it was a long time ago. So since then, my English has been slipping away. So I will use my English very simple way and easy way. It's good for you to communicate with each other and understanding what I'm talking about. So let's go slowly and steadily, step by step. Yeah. Okay. After 1988 Olympics in Seoul, foreign residents have increased rapidly in Korea. And now they make up of around 4.4% of the total Korean population. Its statistics is in 2023 last year. But Korea has a short history in which to live with the people from different cultures. So sometimes we do not feel familiar with the people from other countries. So we do need to how to get in touch with them and how to manage them, something like that. So migration policies are getting more important and need to be sorted out in Korea. Yeah, that is my today's topic. I will talk about the migration policy of South Korea, focusing on the types of migrants. As we will see, I will have three types of migrants explained. Yes. Here are the contents which I deal with today. The first section, the age of migration. Why we talk about migration? How has migration become a global phenomenon and issue? As migration has brought many changes, we will see which change and which challenge caused by migration and its current status. Second section, I will explain concept related to migrant or some type of migrant will be briefly described. Third section, that is the main content of my class. Korean migration policies, we'll look at them. The policies are being enforced differently for different type of migrant. I will explain this, focusing on migrant workers, married migrant women, and undocumented migrant children. Yeah. And first, lastly, after looking at Korean migration policies, I will mention the future direction of Korean migration policies and what the challenges or what the tasks are. And I want to talk about the border politics or politics of without boundary. It is possible, something like that. I will ask the question to you and reflect on these issues with you as well. And then I will take the question from you. Yeah, that is what I want to explain in this class. Yeah, let me explain the terminology of migration first. We have used migration or immigration both, but in this class, I have used migration only because migration, I follow the IOM definition of migration. Let me read the IOM definition of migrant. As you know, IOM means the International Organization of the Migration. Yeah, migrant, an umbrella term not defined under international law, reflect the common law. That is important. The common law understanding of a person who moves away from his or her place of usual residence, whether within a country or across an international border, temporarily or permanently, and for a variety of reasons. I use the meaning of migration by IOM, but I am concerned with migration across border, not within a country. I mean, this class, right? So international or the global migration is my subject of our talk, my talk. Yeah. At the international level, no universal accepted definition for migrant exists. The present definition was developed by IOM for its own purpose, and it is not meant to imply or create any new legal category. I think that even though the migrant definition is not universally defined, we understand the migrant as explained in IOM homepage. Yeah. So in some contexts, I have used the immigrant or the migrant both, but don't be confused, just migration. It's okay, yeah. Yes, the age of migration and borders and beyond. Yeah. We live in the age of migration, in particular since the 1980s, when globalization started to happen in earnest. Migration has become a global phenomenon and issue. Due to the big movement of capital and labor, that is the typical capitalist globalization, migrant workers and the explosive increase of refugees, so on, sometimes states have difficulty in dealing or solving borders problems. Many states are hesitant to take them all and may want to reject them. For students to follow global norms and not to do as they wish, migration governance at international level, for example, IOM and ILO and UNCHR, we call it then global governance. Yeah. Give those states some guideline, what to do and or what not to do. So when states do something about their border control, states have been more or less influenced by the global governance, such as IOM, ILO, or UNHCR, and cannot make arbitrary decisions. In this way, global migration challenges the ability of states to control their border. Furthermore, state sovereignty, whether the meaning is the positive or negative, anyway, the state has been influenced by such the global governance. In this point, we ask some question. Is the state rule being challenged? Or should the rule of the state not be challenging? The second is political community beyond borders. Is it really possible or not? I hope that we can come back and reflect on this question after I explained the migration policy of South Korea. You may be interested in specific migration policy in South Korea, but I hope that such a specific or detailed information would make you understand more or less a general question. So definitely I will go back these questions. Okay. Yeah, here are some figures and statistics on global migration. Yeah, I can get I have got source from IOM website. Yeah, IOM website or global governance website is not have been updated very recently. Just 2 or 3 years statistics they have got it. because it takes a time for them to listen to the data. Yeah. 2020, international migrants worldwide, 281 million people. Percentage of global migrants, 3.6% of the whole worldwide population. It does not look as if it's small, but if you think about the number, it is not small, a few at all. The international remittance via migrant and diaspora in 2022, $647 billion. Remittance means that the migrant workers from less developed countries get a lot of money or some money in more or less developed country and send the money to their own country to for family or the children's the life. Yeah. And migrant workers, 164 million people. That is figure and statistics in 22 or 23, even 23. Yeah, yeah. That is just you can have a look at the current state of global migration with just a figure. Let me explain concept related to migrant in particular related to the migrants today's class. Migrant workers means that workers who leave their country of origin to work in another country for employment. If I say again in Korean context, the migrant workers in Korea, workers who leave their country of origin to work in Korea for their job. Married migrant women means that women who leave their country of origin to many Korean men and settle in South Korea. We can also talk about men marrying Korean women. But in this case, the married migrant men, not women, in number are too few, and they are in different contexts from the migrant women. So we are more or less interested in married migrant women. And undocumented migrant children indicate undocumented migrant under the age of 18 who do not have document confirming their legal status. And finally, I will explain some more about illegal foreign resident versus foreign, I missed some the wording. Illegal foreign resident versus undocumented foreign resident. Yeah. In fact, they are referred to the same person. Same person means that they are not registered without paper. Paper means to confirm their status, resident status. So actually, the wording refers to the same person, but they are named differently depending on human rights based or not. If you are oriented on the human rights base, we say undocumented foreign resident rather than illegal foreign resident. Legal or illegal is the status criterion, but we don't need to follow the criterion, status criterion, legal or illegal, right? Whatever the reason is, right? So I prefer to name those who do not have the registered paper. I prefer to call them undocumented person rather than illegal person. And it depends on the oriental base, right? Oriented base, yeah. Okay. Anyway, explain the content of class. I will give us some more explanation about this, the type of the migrant, so you don't need to remember too much. Okay. This PPT shows change in Korean migration policies. As you see, on the first wave, 1960 to 87, Korean policies were interested in Korean immigrants who left Korea for their jobs. At that time, for example, 1960s, many minors and female nurses, Korean minors and female nurses sent to West Germany for their job. And 1970s, Korean workers to Middle East or foreign ship employment, of course, for their job. Yeah. And the second wave, as I said, it started after 1988, Seoul Olympic. Yeah. And the third wave, from the second wave on, policy have been concerned with incoming migrant rather than outcoming immigrant. That is, migrant workers and migrant married women. Yeah, let us see them in detail on PPT itself. The second wave, South Korea's economic growth led labor from less developed countries in Southeast Asia. After Olympic, the economic, the development was booming. So many labor were required, but many domestic workers did not work for 3D jobs. 3D means that difficult, dirty, and dangerous job. 1960 or before that, they did not mind which kind of job, but 1971 to 1960, the GDP in Korea was quite increased. So many people more or less were off than before. So they did not get a job in 3D industries. So migrant laborers, workers from the Southeast Asia came to Korea and make up the shortage of labor. As many migrant worker has been increased, government made an industrial training program or employment permit system. I will talk about that later. Yeah. There is a second wave, and the third wave is slightly different. Still inbound immigrant a lot, but as rural marriage rate decline because the male living in countryside, they did not have opportunity to get married. So married migrant women entered into Korea and got married then. Yeah, and the recently population decline due to lowering birth rate and increasing in age. There is quite a serious problem in Korea at the moment. So now we need a lot of the labor from abroad. So now we are on the third wave. Yeah, this changing, the summing up, outbound to inbound. Yeah. So we are our migration policy are interested in or concerned about the inbound migrant rather than outbound. Yeah. Okay, let us have a look at a current status of a foreign resident in Korea in numbers. Migrant worker or a married migrant are the main component of South Korea. As we see, in Korea, migrant workers outnumber married migrant women. However, we can say that married migrant, in particular married migrant women, are more supported by Korean government by some reason. We'll see the reason later. The reason why I show this figure to you is that migrant worker, married migrant are main component, and in number, migrant workers outnumbers married migrant. There is my point to show this figure to you. And by percentage of the Korea population, 2019, this is before the COVID-19 has happened, people from different culture constitute the 4.87 of Korean whole population. 2023 last year, 3.37 is a little bit slightly different, as you know, because of the COVID-19. But by the way, when 5% of the population is made up of people from different culture, we call it multicultural society. Korea is becoming a multicultural society. Actually, it has happened around 2006. So from 2006 until 2017, it's increased quite rapidly. And then for 3 years, due to the COVID-19, slightly decline. Now it's slightly increased. Yeah. Let me explain the Korean migration policy, its characteristics. I will give you the outline or the characteristics of South Korean migration policy first, and then let me take a look at the type of the migrant. The first characteristic is that South Korean migration policies are concentrated on specific group, that is, married migrant women and migrant workers. But the policy adopted different approaches and show contrasts in policy development. For married migrant women, social acceptance, assimilation, and support are done. It is because they are resident with more or less proper visa who can have children, that is the second generation, and make a family. That is the married migrant women contribute to make the second generation in Korea. So they are more or less supported by government. On the other hand, of course, it is not always easy for married migrant women to get proper visa. 2 years residence and Korean language exam pass are required. After that, they can apply for proper visa. Nevertheless, as we see, they are much more supported by government rather than the migrant workers. Migrant workers are controlled and managed by government and employers because they are only supplement to the economic labor force and must live for a limited time without permanent visa. No settlement is allowed to them. Summing up, whether they are eligible to become citizen or not is the main key or to making policy for them. That is a member of the nation state or not. That is a very good, very important criterion to settle in Korea or not. The conflict and overlaps among policy. Yeah, let me take an example. When woman enters into Korea as a migrant worker, she is treated as a migrant worker, in particular as a minority worker. Then in Korea, she can meet a Korean gentleman and then become a migrant married woman. In this case, which policies will take precedence? These are quite complex issues that need to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes migrant worker policy has a priority. Sometimes the married migrant woman policy have priority. It depends on the case. So quite complicated. So far, married migrant women, not men, migrant male workers, not female, are paid attentions and our target of our migration policies. Then finally, as with all multicultural societies, South Korea has challenges of interaction between migrant and native Koreans. Here, I prefer to mention interaction. not social integration. Many people mention social integration very easily. For me, I think that under the name of social integration, integration has been more focused on native people rather than migrants. Migrants are asked to assimilate Korean culture. Of course, I do not think that it is necessarily always wrong, because for them to adapt to a new life in Korea, they need to learn Korean language, Korean custom, and Korean culture. But the problem is that we do not ask them about their will to choose. They automatically, once they are enter into Korea, they follow the custom or culture without asking. And we do not make efforts to learn their language and culture. Just by the reason of survival, their survival reason, we ask them to learn Korean, everything's Korean everything's, yeah. So I would not say social integration. Instead, I prefer to use the terminology of interaction, because as I said, the interaction is always unilateral. The social interaction sounds good, but actually one side, not both sides. Yeah, we move to the more or less detailed migration policy. The first, migrant workers. In South Korea, 3 types of foreigners working in South Korea: specialized and skilled foreign workers. And second, low-skilled labor and undocumented migrant workers. Specialized and skilled foreign workers are always welcomed because of their competitiveness and their talent. But low-skilled labor are welcomed only when we need economic supplement. Undocumented migrant workers are not welcomed. Yeah. Anyway, 3 types of workers. The outline of migrant labor policy in Korea, as I said, in Korea, they attracted highly skilled foreign labor for enhancement of nation competitiveness. It's true of the many other countries, always highly or professional is very welcome. But limited admission of unskilled or low-skilled workers since 1998. But from 2023, last year now on, the admission numbers are expanded. 30% increase, because, as I said, in Korea, there are serious problem is birth rate decline and aging. So now we open the door to immigrant, the workers from less developed. The main target of the migration labor policy of Korea is the unskilled or low-skilled labor, not professional one. So we are talking about the migration labor policy. You should think about the low and the unskilled labor. Don't forget the professional one. Yeah. So unskilled or low-skilled workers are controlled and managed by government. Hereafter, when I mention migrant workers, as I said, they indicate unskilled or low-skilled workers. And unskilled workers number is 454,230. 400,000, more than that. Yeah. As I said, their number is more than the married couple, the migrant married couple. In this sheet, we'll look at the history of policy for migrant workers. Before 1993, the many migrant workers entered into Korea, just the individual invitation or here and there without the system. But 1993, industrial training program was introduced to make up for labor shortage, in particular in small and medium-sized manufacturer. Big factory or big industry do not need such a low-skilled or the unskilled foreign labor, because big business, they want the professional one. So they don't mind whether they are interned Korea or not. But they were just training, not workers. It meant that cheap labor. Small and medium-sized manufacturer, of course, did not have a lot of money to hire domestic workers. So they ask the government to import foreign labor workers, but they wanted to pay small, not that. So the government has made a training system, industrial training program. So many programs took place, and the program was being severely criticized on human rights basis. Even though they work, for example, even though they work for 8 years, they were paid very small money. They got only small money. So employment permit system was established. Employment permit system, EPS, means that hiring migrant workers must get permission from government about size or transmission country or quarter or industry, which industry. Everything needed to be permitted from government. From 2004 until 2007, ITB training and EPS worker, two programs were implemented in parallel, because small and medium-sized manufacturers strongly objected the introduction of EPS. And in 2007, the year of the 2007, EPS only has been implemented. So now it's going on now, until now. Yes, employment permit system, South Korea's representative migration labor policy. Theoretically, they have such a principles. Complementarity. It means that the hiring of migrant workers after a period of domestic recruitment efforts. It means that the owner of the small and medium-sized industries look for the domestic worker, but no domestic worker applied for. So in the case, the small and medium sized manufacturer can get permission from government. We need migrant labor workers. Second, transparency. Public sector control to the system to prevent corruption. Yeah. So as already I have said that the migrant workers are controlled and managed by government. It means that it implies that public sector do not have corruption. But anyway, the public sector control to the system to prevent corruption. Public sector means that Minister of the Employment and Job, yeah, the government give the permission to the applied small and medium-sized manufacturer. Second, anti-settlement. That is quite an important point of EPS. The short-term rotation people, which requires migrant workers to be employed for a limited period of time and return home. When migrant workers come into the Korea, they can work in the first instance 2 years, and then they can get extension. Nevertheless, at the longest, they got a permission period. Maximum permission period is 4 years and 8 months or 9 months. The less than 5 years. The reason is that they can extension one more. So they work for 4 years and 8 months, and next, after the extension, they get they got another permission of 4 years and 8 months, altogether less 10 years. According to international law, if we live in one country for more than 10 years, we are eligible to apply for the residence. So to avoid such a residentship, the government just asked the migrant workers to live in Korea the maximum less than 10 years. Yeah. So anti-settlement, there's definitely is prohibited at the moment in Korea. And non-discrimination, prohibition of unfair discrimination against migrant workers. That is theoretically, there are many problems caused by discrimination, we see. Okay, the evaluation is categorized two, internationally or the domestically. Internationally, ILO or UN, the Korean EPS, when you evaluate very well, the international positive evaluation, they have got international positive evaluation from the ILO UN. On the other hand, the domestic field, conflict between employers and migrant workers happened very often because EPS, according to EPS system, employee has a lot of right, but migrant workers has no right to choose workplace and decide how long the period, and even in industrial sector, they cannot decide. Only employer-centered system. So quite a controversial evaluation they've done. Okay, we will see the issue in employment committee system. First period. Migrant workers employed in Korea are required to work for the same employer for 3 years. Of course, exceptions are allowed, but it's very, very difficult to get exception. But theoretically, exception allowed. Second, as I said, prohibition of settlement, never. Third, employers have the right to terminate contract and refuse to renew contract when changing workplace. The first, restriction on change of workplace. The more or less same is number 3. And fifth, limitation of job search period of employment within 3 months after permission to change workplace. Of course, it's difficult to migrant workers to choose another new workplace. But in very exceptional case, even though they have a right to choose a new workplace, they should find out a new one after 3 months. 3 months is actually very short job search period because of the duration of housing and health insurance for migrant workers who are not familiar with Korean language and system. Definitely 3 months is too short. But if they want to change of place during the 3 months, they have to find it. Number 6, problem of undocumented stay due to change of workplace. As I said, when they need to change workplace, they are given to for 3 months. For 3 months, they cannot find the job or new workplace. They are undocumented status. So-called illegal. I don't want to use it, but anyway, just for easy understanding, they are illegal persons. The number 7. One of the main issues in EPS is that too much dependence on the exclusive decision of the employer for reemployment. So sometimes the migrant workers are not happy with the employer. They always have to be obey them, because otherwise they cannot get the reemployment from them. As we see, the EPS 2 has many problems. Big issue is that EPS is employer-centered system. in particular migrant workers, cannot change the workplace except in exceptional cases. So we think about an alternative to EPS, labor permit system. We, field activists, scholar, human rights lawyers propose labor permit system to government, but of course it has not been pursued yet. LPS has not worked yet, but in a more or less near future, we hope that LPS work. The difference between EPS, Employment Permit System, and Labor Permit System is that whether the subject of the system is employer or the migrant worker. In EPS, the subject of the system is employer, but in LPS, the migrant worker. That means migrant worker can choose workplace or the length of the job, something like that. Let us have a look at the key points of LPS. Migrant workers' right to terminate contract and to refuse contract renewal. Migrant workers deciding the change of workplace, identifying the reason, and change of workplace, less restriction. Let me refer to the UN or ILO. According to UN Migrant Workers' Rights Convention, 2 years of stay, they cannot find a job freely, but after that, they can choose as they like. According to ILO, Migrant Workers' Rights Recommendation number 86 of 1949, they said that free employment of migrant workers residing for more than 5 years, more or less generous, but in Korea, not yet. But even though the government doesn't want to do it, but as I said, that due to the labor shortage, the aging, and the birth rate decline, the Korean needs a lot of the workers from abroad. It means that the government would give a more or less generous policy to them. Otherwise, they would not come. These days, the migrant workers have more choice. Japan, Korea, or Singapore, some other country. They can choose one of them. So why not Korea? It means that they need to be more supported and treated as a human right. They would come. Otherwise, they would go to the other country. So by accident, anyway, the situation of the migrant workers in Korea would get better. Let me move to the married migrant women. As I said, the number is less than migrant workers. In 2023, 174,895 married migrant women are in Seoul. Not in Seoul, sorry about that, in Korea, South Korea. The increase of the number is caused by increase in married migrant women due to low birth rate and aging of the Korean society, as I said. The effect is that marriage of the rural bachelors and resolving the problem of population, labor productivity declined. So they are welcomed or they are required by South Korea. They have the good support policies in comparison to the migrant workers. Let me explain let me take an example. 2008, the year 2008, Multicultural Family Support Act was established. Multicultural family means that families of men and women of different nationality and culture. But in Korea, one of the parents had to have Korean nationality. That is a multicultural family in Korea. So when government opened the 2008 Multicultural Family Support Act, it means that family in which one of men and women have a Korean nationality would be supported economically or socially, educationally, or whatever. Yeah. But now the definition has been changed steadily. Of course, it has not been changed in law. Still, the definition of a multicultural family is one of the parents who have Korean nationality. But in fact, in the field, it intended to include all family with migrant background. In particular, Minister of Education accepted the definition for students with migrant background to give the opportunity to be educated. While, on the other hand, the Ministry of Justice or Ministry of Employment and Labor, they do not the definition, the extended definition of a multicultural family, formally, they do not accept. It depends on the character of the government or the ministry. The reason of a purpose to give or support policies to marry migrant women is that to raise second generation to become Korean citizens. In other words, mom is from another country, but the mom, anyway, they married the Korean man. And the second generation is Korean. So married migrant women is a bridge between father and child. So that is contribution to Korea. So they are supported. If we listen to Multicultural Family Support Act, it looks like multicultural family or the migrant married women were treated very well, but actually not, because the multicultural family policy has also limitation. Such a policy based on patriarchal model and pre-modern gender role, that is women's role in reproduction and labor, and men is still hierarchically high. And even though for the purpose mentioned above, married migrant women are relatively better supported than migrant workers, but only if they have a valid visa or only if they contribute to keep their family. In this point, I want to talk about the limitation of the supporting policy to migrant married women. When they contribute to keep family and when they produce the second generation, when they are obeyed their husband, their visa have no problem. But whatever the reason, they are after they are divorced, their visa was very, very unstable. The visa of the migrant married women is F9 visa. Yeah. But the F6 visa system guarantee a woman a stay only if the marriage remains conflict-free, or if the divorce is almost entirely the fault of the Korean spouse, including serious assault. There's a little middle ground. If you have children, if the women have children to raise, you can get a visa after divorce, regardless of how much your spouse is at fault. But it is a limited stay that allow you to stay until your children reach adulthood, until 20. Also, even though your spouse is at fault, the married migrant women have to make evidence the husband fault. Too many jobs, too many jobs. And women cannot apply for naturalization until 2 years after marriage. it is difficult to obtain a visa after divorce, and the visa application must be endorsed by the former husband. They're able to see again from husband to get endorsement too. Yeah. So many the civil CSO the relate to the working for migrant married women. They are always complain about such a system to government, but it has not changed not that much. Yeah. So simply, married migrant women are more or less supported by government too, rather than migrant worker. It is available when they contribute to Korean family. Yeah, that is the point. But of course, it is quite the negative and sad story. But on the other hand, not many married migrant women also make a fraud now. So just pseudo marriage, and when they got married with Korean man, they got divorced and meet another the man from their own country, and so many scandal. That is life. but anyway, I'm just talking about just a general outline of the married migrant women. The move to undocumented migrant children. As you see, undocumented migrant children have some difficulty to be treated properly. We'll see why. Yeah, okay. Undocumented migrant children, as I said, under the undocumented migrants under the age of 18, they have difficulty in identifying their unregistered status, because it is an important factor in determining the status of unregistered migrant children in South Korea is only two: nationality or immigration status, and immigration status of their parents. The children's parents do not have Korean nationality, or the children's parents do not have the immigration status of their immigration status not properly. Children cannot be registered at all. It means that Koreans do not have any system in which children are regarded as the subject of a right. Just they are treated as the partner, not partner. For how do you say that? Parents, the subjection. Yeah, they are treated then. Yeah. So lack of a system to secure children's right, regardless of a parent's immigration status. So the undocumented migrant children, is the most miserable group in Korea. They are totally depend on the parents, and so the parents, if parents are registered, the children are alienated from all protection and attention. Just nothing. Of course, Korea is a ratified country of the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child, but what they're saying is that it's still going on in Korea. Okay. They're nearly getting there. Duality of South Korea migration policy, assimilation for married migrant women, exclusion for migrant workers or undocumented children. But why do Korean government have such a policy? I think that it is caused by the Korean constitution and the limitation of the nation-state system. According to Korean constitution, the subject of fundamental right is only the Korean, the national, the Korean people with a Korean passport. Foreigners who do not qualify as nationals are excluded from being guaranteed for fundamental right. The framework of a nation state means that government or the state only must protect or guarantee the people within their own territorial the boundary. Otherwise, they are not eligible to protecting them. That is the limit of the Westphalian system. It was established in 17th century. Since then, we are in nation-state framework. As I said, the national members, that is citizenship, only are allowed to enjoy the right in a country. In the sense, Korea has a lack of awareness of social membership for the global community. Unfortunately, we need to open the mind to the global community. Of course, it is caused by the economic reason, but Korea is well off enough, so time to move the change of the recognition. Consensus on the goal of the Korean migration policy. Already I talked about the integration, social integration. For whom and in what way? For whom? For native Korean? In what ways? As we like, it should be challenging. And for the goal of the Korean migration policy, we need to move from multicultural family of a state to diverse members of a society, so-called social membership, not citizenship membership. Change in the governance of migration policy. Still main agent of the migration policy is the government, the state, but governance should be diversified. State, civil society, or global governance, all of them think about immigration or migration programs in a country. Otherwise, the government or state cannot go beyond their own territorial criteria. So back to the question we asked in the introduction, the rule of state or border politics should be kept, or is politics without boundary? It is not possible, or it's possible. At the moment, if we think about personally, I think that if you think about the migration policies of South Korea, it is difficult to say that we are moving to the politics without boundary. We are moving to social membership. It's difficult to say so. So I think that nation-state system needed to be reflected on in new way. International society has such a system. It's difficult for a country to go beyond. So we need to talk about such a discourse beyond the nation-state system. Yeah, that's it.